Let's do it. Oh, there it is. Call this meeting of the Board of Public Works for Monday, December 5th to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the April 18th, 2022 closed session, June 20th, 2022 closed session, and the November 22nd, 2022 regular meeting. Motion by Mr. Fire, second by Mr. Fisher to approve. Dan?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on those closed session minutes from earlier this year. Those are related to the Lincoln Avenue right-of-way acquisition, easements, and so forth for that project. That work has all been completed now, and the documents have been submitted to DOT, which means now they will look at where they can schedule that construction project to hope it can be done in 2023. So the update on those minutes.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, any other comment? All in favor of approving the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries. Citizen comments. Citizen comment, citizen comment. There are no citizens here, so we'll move on to number 4, approval of the contract extension with B&M Utility Location, presented by Dan Connect, Director of Public Works. Dan.
Okay, thank you. B&M Utility Locating Services currently does our underground utility locating for the city. That would be sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and traffic signal conduits. And they also do the work for the utility, electric, and water, and their communications as well. We're in the midst of a contract with them that was started in June of 2020. That initial term expired at the end of 2021. And if you recall, we did extend it for 1 year, the end of 2022. Earlier this year, we made that extension. The contract allows for one more renewal option, which would allow for an extension through the end of 2023. We've been very satisfied with their performance. No reason not to extend the contract for a final year. They have provided a favorable rate of just a 1.5% increase approximately over the 2022 rates. So we recommended that we extend that contract with B&M for the 2023 calendar year.
Motion by Mr. O'Reilly, second by Mr. Varsho. Any discussion or question? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries. Item 5 is the approval of the contract amendment with Waste Management regarding yard waste, brush and branch, Christmas tree, and bulky item pickup, presented by Dan Connect.
Okay, thank you. So last week, the Common Council approved the budget for 2023, and that removed funding for curbside collection of yard waste, brush, and branches, Christmas trees. That service has been provided by Waste Management, essentially 10 pickups a year, 5 yard waste, 3 brush and branches, and then 2 Christmas trees after the first of the year. And the current cost for 2023 would have been $5,125 a time. So the budget saving amount for 2023 was just over $51,000. So with the removal of that service, Waste Management has asked for a contract amendment to remove that service requirement from their contract, which they are willing to do. They would also like to remove the curbside collection of bulky items from the contract. Those include the items that are typically wouldn't fit in a container, the couches, the carpet rolls, mattresses, sofas, that type of thing that they currently pick up as an included service, meaning that it is not charged for. It's part of their other service, and there's no cost to the residents. They've asked to remove that curbside collection as well. And part of the reason is these special curbside collections are done with a different truck. The old school rear loader garbage truck that picked up these other items. And if they're not doing all of the yard waste collections and so forth, they really don't need to have extra trucks for that type of pickup. Contract does, however, allow residents to drop off these bulk items at the transfer station at no charge. The only other change to the contract would be the transfer station hours. Remember, I reported back in January that were no longer open on Saturdays. In our discussions with Waste Management, we've asked if they could extend the hours during the week, at least on a few days. So if there are more people that need to drop off these bulky items, they can do that. Their hours in the contract were 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. They will stay open until 4 p.m. on Mondays and Tuesdays. So 7 to 4 on Mondays and Tuesdays, 7 to 3 on Wednesday through Friday. What they've agreed to do. So the contract amendment in your packet would remove those services from the contract and reduce the net cost for 2023 of $51,125, as well as the remaining years in the contract through 2027. And there's a 2% escalator on that each year. So the future years would also be removed from the contract. So the recommendation is to approve the contract amendment with Waste Management effective January 1.
Motion by Mr. Fire? No? Okay. For a second, please, for discussion purposes. Second by Mr. O'Reilly.
How are we gonna manage, bulk items?
Microphone, Mike? Your microphone?
How are we gonna manage this situation with these bulk items? We can't get it handled when they're picking it up. How are we gonna get it if they're not picking them up? Are we gonna go around with a truck and pick them up, or what? Do we know what we're gonna do?
I don't think we have the resources to pick these up. So we'll have to be some public notice. We're working with our communications department to get the notice out on that. And then probably have to give some warnings once in a while. I don't know if ordinance control can help us out, but yeah, it's going to be a challenge.
Are we gonna write a citation on them if they don't? You know, because, right now, I can tell you that through the summer, there was a couple of sofas and beds that laid there a month or so in wet, and, finally they picked them up. So, it'll look like Cicero when we get done. If you've ever been down through Cicero in Chicago, it's pretty rotten.
Yeah, I would think that we would have to have a public relations blitz of some sort to tell people not to put those items on their terrace. And then it would be covered under city ordinance, under the ordinance department would be responsible for warning people and citing them for that violation. Right, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So if I heard you correctly, Dan, people can still turn them in or take them in themselves to Waste Management. They're just staying open until 4 or 2 days?
Yeah.
Was there any discussion of even extending that? Would they consider extending that to 5, even a little later, so that people working could get those in, or are there weekend hours?
Weekend hours are not available any longer. That's proposed since the first of the year. Haven't asked if there's a way they could stay open until 5 on a day or two. Certainly asked the question.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the need to change this. It makes sense, but I'm thinking about anybody who works from 8 to 4:30, 8 to 5. What are they going to do? So, I guess I would really like to see us, before we approve this contract, see if they would even be open to 1 or 2 nights, extending it at least till 5 o'clock. If they say no to us, they say no to us, but I'd like to see something.
Okay.
Mike?
A homeowner isn't going to put stuff out on their front yard and they're going to live with that. They aren't. The homeowner isn't going to do that. It's the rentals it's the people that leave at midnight, throw all the stuff on the curb, and there it is. So we're going to have to send something out to these landlords and say, it's going to be on you, and there's going to cost something for them not taking care of it, because up in my neighborhoods, 3/4 of those properties are rentals, and it's just a disaster. And the homeowner, my wife, would kill me if I put something on the front yard. She'd have shot me because she didn't like any clutter at all. So the homeowner's not going to put the stuff on. It's the landlord that's stuck with it.
Brian,
You know, the yard waste, when we discussed this at the council meeting, the yard waste, I understand, you can take your yard waste in during the weekend and drop it off.
Yeah.
I work 8 to 5. I got a couch downstairs that needs to be tossed. I mean, it's not horrible, but it needs to be tossed. It's easy to put it out there, call them up, they come pick it up. When we voted on this at the council, I understand the yard waste. I can take that in myself. But I don't have the time to take 2 hours at lunch to pack it up into a trailer that I got to go to Hewitt and pick up from my dad's house, to take it over there, to weigh it, to go. I've taken stuff over there for my brother already. And yeah, you got to weigh it. You got to, I mean, it's a 2 or 3 hour thing. I have to take off of work to do it. The yard waste, I understand. But the bulk items, I didn't think that were going to be an issue. I thought that would stay.
Mike,
Is there any possibility of them leaving a spot for these type of large oversized drop-offs? I mean, they have big equipment there to move it in the morning when they get in, and they're only moving it 100 yards, which may circumvent them having to keep staff there late. I don't know if the way it's structured with their fencing and everything, if that's even a possibility, but it seems to me like a logical approach to it, that people can drop off at 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night if they need to, with no additional manpower by a dump.
Adam,
I was just gonna make a motion and see where this goes. I would like to make a motion to direct staff to go back and take some of the ideas that were presented and see if we can change the contract to reflect some type of service, whether that's extended hours, whether that's a drop-off site of some kind, and see if they would be willing to revise the contract to reflect our discussion.
that'll be an amendment to the current motion. And can we add in there, mind if we add in there, and then to vote on it at our next meeting?
I mean, yeah, that's fine. I was going to give them as much time as they needed, but if it's the next meeting or however long it takes.
Any further discussion? Dan?
Yeah. I would just point out that I know that they do like to check for residency when people drop things off, and which they couldn't do if it was after hours. And they also make sure that there are not things that aren't allowed under bulk items, like tires and appliances and electronics and that kind of thing. So you can just imagine if there's a drop off outside of the gate, you would get all kinds of stuff dropped off there, which might be a challenge to that idea. But I will talk with them tomorrow and see if there's any options to get a little broader range of drop off.
And just to keep everything according to the rules, I'll second.
Okay, thank you.
Gotcha. And Mike, did you have something further?
Yeah, I guess a suggestion would be, much like the lawn drop-off spot, cameras can be used. Sure, they have cameras there for this stuff anyhow, watch license plates that come in and so forth. There has been some concern in the past, from what I understand, about non-residents dropping off grass clippings, branches, so on and so forth. I don't know how they deal with that, but after hours, but I'm assuming they could handle it the same way as they do with that. You can see what's getting dropped off.
Any further discussion? Okay, so first we'll vote on the amendment to the original motion, which is to,
Do you want me to repeat it?
yes, please.
The amendment to the motion is to direct staff to go back with some of the ideas presented and try to renegotiate that into the contract, and then bring that back to a future meeting at their convenience.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And that makes the original motion moot at this point because it's directed to come back at a later meeting. So we'll move on to item number 6, which is approval of an easement to Frontier Communications on city-owned property at the corner of 17th Street and Adams Avenue, presented by Tom Turchy, city engineer. Tom.
Back in January of this year, the Board of Public Works approved an easement for Frontier Communications to bury phone lines along the east 10 feet of the city-owned parcel, as shown at the northeast corner of South Adams and West 17th Street. Since that time, Frontier has requested to extend their easement along a portion of the north 10 feet of that same lot as shown highlighted in red. Frontier has facilities overhead through this location, so this would be an upgrade to the existing service. The city has previously permitted easements along to the electric utility and Frontier along the east 10 feet of this parcel. We currently have no issues with granting an additional easement along the north 10 feet of this parcel as shown in red. So I'd recommend approving the easement as noted.
Motion by Mr. Fisher, second by Mr. O'Reilly. Any comments or questions on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 7 is a recommended items for future agendas. Seeing none, motion to adjourn by Mr. Fire, second by Mr. Varsho. All in favor? We're adjourned.